Okay, so I'll try and do this. I'll do it kind of simplistically, just by sketching. It's obviously nothing precise, but you'll know the shapes you want. So essentially this is kind of the shape we see in that picture. And we will, first I'm just going to extrude the base shape down a bit. And you'd seen this in the other video, right? So there's nothing fancy going on. So we extrude it, right? And then that gives me a solid to do some cutting now. In your picture, the top and the bottom one had some different ones. There was the cutouts that looked like just indents, and then the bottom one actually looked like they were completely cut out, and then the other extrusions happened after, so I'll try and show both of those. So you want to draw some shapes in here. What you need to do is switch your UCS, because right now your paper space on the top UCS that's over here is everything in the X and Y plane. So if you see all those blue lines right there, all drawing and everything happens right on that flat as if it was a piece of paper. And so you can't draw down in here. So what you need to do, if I started trying to draw here, it would all be happening up in here. You wouldn't see it. And then when you look up here, you'd see a bunch of squibbly stuff, right? So what you want to do is switch your UCS to here, and that puts that paper space that way. You see it happening that way. And so now when I draw out here. And so I want to do some cutting into this here, so I'll show some of that. I might have to jump through some hoops because my layer software, my layers don't work when I'm running this recording software anyway. So I'm just going to do some sketching. So it looked like you had some shapes that were triangles, so let's just assume that that's a triangle, even though it's kind of sloppy. Yeah. So let's see, line join, just you know, you would draw your own real shape there. It's kind of a little off it, but I don't need to sit here and try and draw up and trim up a proper triangle. So there's a triangle drawn there, and now I can extrude that a little bit. And let's see. Let's extrude that by 2 while we're in the front axis. And that put it, I want to actually go backwards right now so I can work on the thing for a minute. So let's go at -2. There we go. So that gives me a triangle shape. And then you actually had a bevel cut off. So the way I'm going to cut that off is go to the top, switch back to my top UCS. Then I'm going to make a line that'll do my cutting. I'll make a surface and then an actual solid that will cut. So first I'll sketch horizontal. So I'll just start out here. And I'll go to right about there is where I'm going to start my bevel. Again, if you're doing something precise, you would just do properly measured lines. And then anytime you're doing booleans, so it's best to punch all the way through. So you notice how I start outside of here instead of trying to start right on the edge and go right to the edge, because then you can have booleans failing. So there I drew that line, and now I'm going to extrude it down all the way through my surface. So let's go with minus, let's see if 2 is enough. And did that go all the way through? Yeah, it looks like it went all the way through. And so now I have that surface goes all the way through that I can extrude. I want to extrude this whole surface this way to be solids that'll cut that off right there. So I'm going to go back to the front. Then I'm going to extrude surfaces. And I'm going to say, make sure I just go far enough. Let's just say 3 along the z-axis, which is now going up in the y, the old y. And I do that, so I have a solid block there. Let's clean it up a little bit. I got to get rid of the surfaces and then boolean together my 2 extruded blocks to make one solid that I can now cut away from that. So let's do boolean diff, and there. Now I have that shape that I want to punch into the side of that and cut out. So actually, I'm going to put my fillets on it now. Before you can try and punch it in and cut and then fillet all the little edges, but for me it's better if I can have my fillets built into that cut that I want to put there. And now I can just move that into my solid. You can see that as I if I wanted a precise depth right now, I would see this is just floating up here. I'll show you in a little bit how to move this back down to exact 0 in the Y, and then I could move this in by an exact amount. But for now, I'm just going to sketch because it's just showing you the theory of what we're talking about there. So now I've got that piece punched in there, right? And now I can boolean that out of my solid object here, difference, and there's one of your shapes. And so, you know, mirroring it to this side, same thing. And then, you know, you had like a triangle like this, and then down here was like a rectangle with rounded corners. It's just about putting your shapes in there, getting a solid punched in, and cutting it out. That's how to draw in like that. And then, you know, I could put those shapes all over, whether it's, you know, if you're really doing stuff on the curve, then you'll have to like pre-cut your solid up, possibly with another curve and another cut, and then move that in to have the cut go around that way. And what looked like on the bottom one you had was a little bit different. It looked like it just backing up here. So I'm going back to the front view here, and it looked like you had it was cut all the way completely through, and then the cylinder, so like if you were looking at it from here, that you would see through it. I couldn't really tell from the picture, but let me just goof off and show you another way real quick. So in the X, let's go to -3. I'm going to move that over to there, and then just do a quick line join. Again, normally you would work with, you know, properly shaped objects. And then now let's extrude that. Let's just go all the way through, right? So let's go at 7. I think it's I don't remember which way. There we go. So does that go all the way through? Yes, it does. So now that goes all the way through. So again, I could fillet this first, and then boolean diff that out of my solid. And then now I have that cut out, and then what I would do, since I don't have layers, I just got to hide that real quick. Now I can extrude curve that. Let's get back to the top view. -2.5. All right, and then why did I lose my object? Did I back up? Let's try that again. Could have just have to do one cylinder at a time. Now I would have to extrude the inner one down to make my hole that punches through. But so that's how, you know, that would be as if I now here the triangle shape, I would punch it all the way through and cut a hole through there if that's what it was. I could have just been misreading it, but I thought I saw that side curving in like that on that one. So anyway, that's kind of the general gist of how to draw like that. You have to switch your UCSs. If I wanted to draw on this end over here, I would go to the right and look at the right view, and that's looking at that end right there, right? So now when I draw, everything happens in that paper space only over here in the middle. So I could draw and move it back out to here. I know my thing is 7 inches wide or 8 inches wide. I'd move it out 3.5, you know, to the edge, and then do my cuts out here. So then the other thing would be is if you really, and then I was going to show you also was moving like this model back. If you have to move things around with translate, there's another translate mode. So I'm going to put a point at 0, which is right here. And then if I want to move that, there's a a translate option where you go to sketch and enter and you go to pick. And so now what I can do, if I want to move all that stuff, I can select the entire thing and say OK. Now what I do is I shift click in here, and then I can pick that center point there. That's the pick from. And now down here I can click that point and pick 2. Now this is at 0. So when I do these extrudes, I can do exact extrudes. Like if I only wanted it to be an exact 1/4 inch, I would just extrude it a 1/4 inch and then cut that side off like that and cut it out, and I would have that. So then let's see, the other thing would be drawing in plane. Like for instance, if I wanted to draw here at this angle, how necessarily would I do that? Well, let's let me get rid of this for a minute. Let's just get rid of all this geometry. Bring back my solid. And then, so now I can put a UCS here facing this way right now. So this is x0, x plus, and this is y0. And the way you do that is you add a new UCS by 3 points, and then you get the pick points again. So I shift click, and there's x0. And then I come over here, that pick is for the plus in x, and then the third pick is for the plus in the y direction. And now I actually have a UCS right there, and so any drawing I do is going to happen right there. So I can just go ahead and draw my triangles and my shapes in this plane right here, and then boolean them in and cut them out from that shape right there. So let me know if that helps. If that doesn't really show you how to draw and get those shapes around there, then maybe we can get more specific. Okay.